Well, howdy, y'all, and welcome to another electrifying episode of the High Voltage Live Show. I'm your host, Willie Snyder from NEC Question, coming to you live from the Mile City, Denver, Colorado, joined by my awesome co-host, Mr. King James Stallcup, over there with the Stallcup Electrical Education. And I just wanted to let you know, James, we got a new saying from Adam, as I was telling him that your initials for Stallcup Electrical Education are C, and so then he came up with the new word, Sheesh. So, like, from now on, we go, oh, man, it's James Stallcup. Sheesh. So, it's our new word. So, we'll be incorporating it with Adam. And so anytime someone says something cool, just say, sheesh.
You know, it's funny because when I realized that it was SEE, when I said, you guys set up and have like a title, written underneath. So I always put in there, see the difference. So I always tell everybody, go check everything out, see the difference. You'll see the difference. That's what it is. Stock electrical education. See the difference. We encourage you to go look.
We've been doing a little man versus machine battle with AI, and AI actually was talking crap this week, saying that it could build a better illustration than you. So we're going to show you guys that this week. I actually had AI take a challenge to see, and we'll get to see live if AI did better than King James. So it's pretty fun, and it's fun to do it. And I'm impressed that AI is able to just generate those images like that. I've been doing it for like my podcast, for my Spotify podcast, the Willie Jackerson Experiment, and it's pretty fun. It's fun to do. But I don't know, dude. I think we'll have a good laugh tonight. I brought your regular crowd with, so we'll have like people that can, laugh with you and everything. Like King James's jokes are always funny when we have the laugh crowd, when we bring the laugh crowd with us.
Oh yeah.
It's pretty cool. A lot of fun to do these. And like I say, thanks so much for all the participation. Like my channel has just blown up. Like my whole NEC Code page has just blown up in the last month. So much participation, so many people jumping in, and I'll actually explain where I get the myth of the week from and how I get them. And I always let King James know. Sometimes he doesn't agree with them, or sometimes he's just like, what are you doing, but it's kind of just those questions that apprentices ask that maybe they're stupid questions, and nobody's gonna ridicule you here on the High Voltage Live Show when you're asking those questions, because a lot of times even the experts, they think they know what they're talking about, but they're really not right. And it just goes to show, when we first started doing this, I thought that a lot more of these code experts were more experts than they actually are, and we actually proved from some of the sound bites that they don't know what they're talking about all the time. So it means a lot to bring in and kind of go over these and like I say, I'm not saying, like, when you're trying to learn, you're always gonna have that learning curve. You've seen there. I've been wrong a lot of times about stuff, and there's stuff where maybe you were wrong about stuff, and maybe you weren't understanding what I was talking about correctly. So just that kind of stuff. Like communication, the way the language is worded. There's a lot of mistakes in the code, and the code is a permissive document, so we always have to remember that. That's where a lot of these people try to push it to this rule book, and it's tough, but we're trying to do the best we can. And like I say, I appreciate everyone participating and just hanging out with us and just having fun, talking code, talking shop, talking whatever. We have a lot of really cool stuff. Like I say, the Willie Quiz this week, it's super easy, man. Like, if you've been paying attention to hockey, then you should get all of them right. So,
I hate hockey questions. I don't know nothing about hockey.
You're not. You're what you're trying to say that I'm trying to put stuff in that you're not going to get right. I mean, come on.
No, I just learned what when you're off sides. I didn't even know when you were off sides. I was it's almost sort of offside was sort of like soccer. I figured that out.
Right.
I didn't know what checking was. I learned what checking was. There's a lot of terms in hockey I'm just starting now to learn because of these freaking questions.
Yeah. Well, we'll hopefully give Adam the advantage this week. Like I say, it's a lot of fun just doing these. And like I say, the meme this week was stolen from Electrical Wall of Shame, and it's just funny because everyone knows that the electrician's like making the biggest money out there, So
oh yeah,
let's see how he's rolling up to the job site.
All right.
See, now that's just ridiculous. Like, I don't wear all those gold chains. Like, I always keep my gold chains at home. I don't wear my gold chains out to the job site. So I don't know.
That wasn't correct. I did not see. I did not see the rack on the back to support that tool. So
yeah, there you go. Oh, look, we have John. What's up, John?
Hey, John.
Welcome in, brother. So yeah, John wasn't here when I installed King James's. I actually have his own little lapping gallery, so this has his own people that can like lap at his jokes and stuff. So gold. Yeah, that's a good point, John. I wouldn't want to be having that around my neck. Gold with such a good conductor, and yeah, dude. Awesome, man. King James a little under the weather, and I'm trying to go watch the Avs game after the show, so we might not be doing too long of a show tonight, but appreciate you popping in, John. It's always good to have guys like you up in the house.
We're in sinus weather right now here in Texas, and shit, I've had it since Sunday, and I'm on the down end now, but boy, if we'd have been doing this Tuesday or Wednesday, I can tell you I wouldn't have been here. And I don't even really feel like it right now, but I'm toughing it out for you guys because I'm such a trooper.
Awesome, right on. So we'll give you the coin. Well, actually, we'll give you two. We'll give you 2 coins for that. So that'll be my who gets the right questions. And we actually I have actually a new guy that does the goal too. So it's like your own guy to signal like when you score a goal. So we might not be using that one too much tonight, but you know, like it'll be for when you get a goal on the quiz. But we'll see. You know, I mean, like I say, I actually had the quiz updated for 2025 playoffs, so it's like the records are current, which to me is hard with AI because it seems like some of the information's like outdated. But what does John say? That Pepsi job finished 2 weeks ago. Looking for work. Yeah, and oh yeah, dude. It was ridiculous, man. Like they sat there and babysat a reel of wire for like 2 hours. It was ridiculous, you know. And um, yeah, it was pretty weird, man. Like I just that was a strange project. Those guys they were like out of state contractors and they were doing stuff pretty weird. Like they had just stuff. The way they did it was pretty bizarre. So yeah, I figured I'd just go do something else. But yeah, it was cool to see John. I bump into John on the job site. He just comes up. I'm sitting there doing lift inspection, and he comes up and what's up, brother? So he was working for a different company. So
cool.
It's pretty cool, you know, to bump into Colorado people out on the site. And I think John's a master too. So that's pretty cool, you know. And oh yeah, he was working for that other company too. Yeah, they ran out of money. Yeah, it's frustrating when you get into like some of the construction stuff. They don't allow for some of that stuff, you know. But they're it is what it is. But like I say, the myth of the week this week, I think you all will like it. I will tell you like the whole backstory, why I did it, and a lot of people were confused, but it was for a reason.
All right, here we go.
It's time for Myth of the Week.
Yeah, so this is an example of what John's talking about, where you're sitting there telling people a cheap way to do something and they don't listen to you. So what I'm always telling is like the cheap way to do stuff is to run. Just get one of these 60 amp pull out disconnects, and it doesn't matter what you run to it, you can just power up whatever you want. And I've heard before where people are like, oh no, you can't put a 60 amp disconnect in there, you'd have to have number 6 wire going to it. And you'll notice, I don't know if you have those illustrations that AI made, but there's an illustration that, yeah, so the one on the right, that shows like 65 amp for 60 amps, and it was really funny because I actually challenged AI. I said, hey, chat GTP, I was like, can you make an illustration that's up to the stall cups with the code sections and everything in it? And this is the best it could do, you know. So I thought it was pretty funny. And then if you'll notice, it shows number 4 with 85 amps going to a 60 amp disconnect. And I pointed out to AI, I said, well, if you're going to do that, you're going to have to make sure that you clarify that all that increased conductor sizes per voltage drop, and that you're not on an 85 amp overcurrent device, because that disconnect wouldn't be rated for 85 amps, you know. So it just goes to show kind of where this myth comes from, and a lot of people are like using AI and stuff for that. So I don't know, what's your thoughts on just the illustration? Like, are you getting ready to be out of a job?
Well, I could have put a couple more in, but
okay,
This is just one showing 240.4B, which is where you get into
Nice.
this. And we're showing where you got the different size conductor. There's a lot of ways I could have showed this. But basically, what we're, and you've heard me do this many, many, many times. When I got over to 240.4B, and I'm talking about overcurrent protection devices rated 800 amps or less, I always say you can protect the load, or you can protect the conductor.
Yeah,
and I showed both of those different ways to do that.
You'll get all the haters that come in and say, "How do you protect a load?" It's like, well, you have to know the load in order to protect it.
Well, it goes showing that the conductor can be larger than what the overcurrent device is there. So,
True.
Like here, I've got 90 amp at 125% as a continuous load. We just made up a problem here. Gives you 112.5 amps. Okay. Well, if I go over and I look at picking up a number 2, and it's a 75 degree C terminals, which we're telling you here, it's going to tell you over in table 310.16, it's good for 115 amps. And if I just look at the next size above that, that's 125 amp overcurrent device. Now, say I calculated this load and I came up with, let's say, 58 amps total. Well, now I could look over at table 310.16. The next size above that 58 amp calculated load would be 65 amps, which is a number 6 conductor. But since I had a 58 amp calculated load, I could go over and look at 240.6A, the table there, and the next size above the 58 amps is a 60 amp overcurrent device. Or I could protect the conductor, which in this case was rated 65 amps. The next size above that would be a 70 amp.
Right.
Okay. So there's different ways to look at that. And then you also got the other part where I come over and I've got an inverse time circuit breaker. I've got a full unit set here, and I'm calculating the size of the overcurrent device. Well, if I calculate, and based on this, due to the inrush current, I can calculate for the minimum and maximum size. But what I want to point out, if I calculated the conductor size for this, it would be the total 65 amps, which is what the motor is rated at for table 430.250. You go over, look at 430.22 for a single motor here. Take it at 125%, that gives you 81.25 amps. The next size above that, of course, 75 degree C column, is a number 4 THWN copper conductor. That's good for what? 85 amps.
Yeah.
But if you look at this, my inverse time circuit breaker could be anywhere from 150 amps to 175 amps. So yeah, I'm feeding with a number 4 conductor. Now, if you look at what a lot of people say, oh no, the size going over has to be rated for whatever size the breaker is. That's not true.
Oh yeah.
So this is just another good example.
As a testament to that, I was at one, and you could go back to the one more slide. It's just a testament to the other direction, like to the beginning.
Oh, where there's.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. So as a testament to this, a lot of people see, okay, well, this is a 60 amp rated disconnect, so doesn't it have to have number 6 going to it? It's like, no. You can run whatever you want. So that's kind of where I was kind of arguing the point of, is this a 60 amp rated outlet? No. It's a 60 amp rated switching device. You could put anything from 60 to 10 amps on it. You could put whatever amps you want. Anything up to 60. You can't exceed 60. Now, that's with what your primary overcurrent device is. So it goes into a lot of stuff, and a lot of people kind of got this wrong. Like, they were sitting there saying it was just real simple and this is not something that should be covered. But now what do I do? Let's just say, King James, that I have a 60 amp fuse and I only have number 10s going to it. You know, is that a code violation? Is that a 60 amp rated outlet?
Depends
You
on
know,
what it's feeding.
yeah, and so that's where it comes down to. There's a lot of real gray area where it comes to this in here, you know, and so that's the thing too, John. You can run. You would probably have to run number 6 if you were doing like 40 amps or whatever. I don't know that. I would have to look at table 31016, but you know the thing is, like, if you're using like aluminum wire to feed whatever, you would just have to make sure that that aluminum wire was rated for whatever your load was. So it wouldn't matter. You could run number 8 aluminum SER and power up a EVSE off of this same disconnect. And if, to me, honestly, if that's outdoors and that's hardwired to that EVSE, you're good to go. A lot of the EVSE, that's another reason that this kind of gets controversial, because a lot of the EVSE has everything built into the software. So if you put, let's just say you put number 6 aluminum wire to this disconnect, and then you run aluminum wire to that EVSE, and then you put it in there like, hey, I ran number 6 SER aluminum to this unit, it'll automatically calculate what your charge rate is, and it'll limit it. You can set it in the software, and you're done. You know, so it's pretty cool that, you know, we're getting that. And yeah, dude, and they are. Yeah, John's right, man. People are trying to go cheap as possible, and there isn't really anything that limits you from using aluminum conductors. A lot of times, you know, me and King James have brought this up in past, where you're running like let's just say an NM cable, and you're coming out of the building to this on outdoor. Technically, that's a code violation. That is supposed to be a wet location rated conductor that goes to that disconnect. Mm-hmm. And it's something that we get by with a lot. I would like to run that as a myth. I think we already have ran a bunch of these, and I'll just keep redoing them. You know, a lot of people wanted me. I had some people reach out, want me to do the antioxidant paste one again, and I'm down doing that. But you know, this is just kind of going to show, you know, kind of where I'm coming from with some of these. And you know, like King James always puts through a lot of really cool stuff. Like he puts in 240.4b, and so let's just say that you have an AC unit and the load is 20 amps. Well, you can run a larger conductor if you want to that, you know. What's that? What's John say? John says gotta switch over to THHN. Yeah, and that's the thing, like John, when we're running outdoors, a lot of times we are in commercial, like sleeving to seal tight. We're changing over to THHN/THWN, so you're good. But this is kind of like almost looking at more of like a residential application. So if you look here, King James is right with this slide showing that basically the code gives you the option to protect the load of whatever your utilization equipment is, or protect the conductor if the load is unknown. And so I think that's where we get into a lot of gray areas. And dude, it's awesome to have John in here. He knows it. He's out there. He sees it, you know. And who do you have? Oh yeah, awesome. Ask the lady. Oh man, that's a great comment. That is a great comment right there. Ask the lady electrical inspector brought up the terminals. So if the terminals are unknown per Article 110.14 then you have to go up the 60-degree C column. So that's really good comment, and that is true. Typically in these AC units, in these situations, they're actually getting to the point where a lot of these terminations inside the utilization equipment say 75/90. Now, I don't know that they're ever going to get to the point where they have 90C rated terminals inside this equipment, but to see that was actually a good sign for me that they're trying to increase that terminal rating so that, like, obviously with the circuit breakers, we're always going to try to be in that 75 degree C column. But yeah, Tabitha makes an excellent point. If you guys are out there taking a test on an exam or something and they don't mention the terminal rating, then you do have to factor in 110/14C11 and go off the 60 degree column of 310/16. So
yeah, it's all tied in there together. The thing I like to point out about this section, just based on what we were looking at as far as the question was concerned, is right there in B, it says the next higher standard overcurrent device rating, and then the next part is in parentheses above the ampacity of the conductors being protected. So what they're telling you there basically is you can protect the load or protect what? The conductor.
Yep.
That to me, that's the most important part to proving exactly what we were talking about. And then from there, you work all the other stuff in. As Tabitha was pointing out, and I've said this many times, you always use the code as a whole. And there's other things in there that you need to look at. And that's why I gave two different examples when we were looking at the different types of illustrations here. So you could have a better understanding. But yeah, you have to tell AI they didn't win the illustration contest.
Oh man, it's actually gonna be cool. I'm actually gonna have to take one of your illustrations and say what, like, show them how bad they did. But,
well,
yeah, I wanted you to have a little fun at it because they act like anybody can make better illustrations than you. And AI actually does pretty good at making illustrations. Like I say, that's pretty good commercial illustration, but it's literally riddled with problems from a practical standpoint.
Well, I'll tell you, you can go look at a lot of the stuff that's out there. Most of the stuff people are doing, it's similar to this, to be honest. It might be a little better. It's not much. When you get in and you start having to draw the equipment, what it really looks like, and going in, doing the conductor coloring of the wires and things like that, there's a big, I mean, we even go as far here to show you where we did the unit here with the inverse time circuit breaker contained in with a controller and everything. And we're showing you just how everything's connected inside and all of that. I will encourage anybody, go out there and see if anybody else shows you that. You know?
Yeah, and just to let you guys know, the stall cups, they save a bunch of money because they don't have to illustrate any conduit supports.
That's right. Never will either, unless we have to call it out. You know, it's funny because we do show it where that new definition they have out for 2026 for cable ties is. We actually show it there, showing it where it's fastened to the framing members, and then they also have the cable ties that are part of the integral portion, like we show in here. Say this controller's here, we show internal cable tie devices are in there that actually bundle those together inside to keep them from flaring out everywhere.
Nice. All right. Well, like I say, I think we kind of covered this pretty good. The reason that I wanted to do this was because there was a certain code teacher back in the day, and this is kind of a few years ago, and he was saying that if you install a 200 amp service, that you need to have 200 amp rated wire going to that service, and that's not 100% correct. And then when we called him out on it and we're like, nah, dude, you're wrong based on 240.4b, he said, well, if you're selling somebody a 200 amp service, wouldn't you want to sell them a 200 amp service? You know, like, so it's kind of like, you know, a lot of these guys, they have this double standard. Like, it's okay for them to backpedal, you know, and say X, Y, Z, you know, but what we're trying to do is just, you know, bring the code out there, tell you guys what it says and how you interpret it. And a lot of times, when you run into, ask the lady electrical inspector, you just say, hey Tabitha, we have a 75 degree C terminals. I show her. She lives in the show me state, and then we just show her, and then you're good to go, and you don't have to go up the 60 degree column in that case. So that's that's where we went with the myth of the week. But really appreciate everyone joining. It's so much fun doing these, and thanks for popping in, Tabitha. Appreciate it. It's always awesome to have an inspector checking my work, you know, because King James, like, I try to get some by on him. Like, I'll be like, hey, dude, you're going to have to pass this one this week. And he's just like, not passing.
Happening.
Well, remember the duck seal one? That was the funniest one.
I will say this. Back when I was a chief in Grapevine, I remember I used to go out on the residential, commercial jobs. We had a few industrial. And right before everything gets started, especially with the residential, I would go out there and talk to all the contractors and everything. And I would tell them, this is what I'm looking for. I'd go through, have an idea what they were going to put in, especially on commercial jobs. And I'd say, you need to do this, 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 and this. I know this is going in, blah, blah, blah. Make sure you get this done. We shouldn't have any problems. I hardly ever gave a red tag because they knew what I expected when I went out there. But I gave them a list, and I made me learn sections real good too, because I'd give them the section, tell them this is what it says. I want you to do this, this, and this. And the only thing that I would have to go out on is usually when they were doing the service, getting everything ready for what they were going to do inside. It usually was, we would have discussions about grounding. That was about it.
Right.
Because they may have certain things that needed to be done.
I usually go over with the inspector the AIC and short circuit current ratings, because sometimes in the remodels we have like 10K equipment and you have like a higher AIC equipment that's feeding it, so then we have to figure out how to like charge the customer for that and kind of change that out. Like in the past we've used what they call the up, over, and down method, where you come off the transformer, you hit a fuse, and then you go to an overcurrent device, and those are actually tested pair. Yeah. That's called the up, over, and down method, but you can't do it, like, you can't just straight fuse it with, you can't just knock down the let through current. You have to have a fuse and a breaker that's tested pair, so that you have the time current characteristics, keeping your equipment safe with, if it's 10K rated with a higher AIC incoming. So just stuff like that I go over with the AHJ, just make sure they're on board. And like I say, do you remember the duck seal one? So like what happened, the whole story was somebody had messaged me on Nat King Code and said, yeah, he goes, our AHJ lets us use duck seal to insulate these and comply with, I believe it was 23062C, I believe. I can't remember the exact reference, but it says that you have to have a barrier on your line side incoming terminals. And they were doing like some trailer parks or something, and they didn't have insulating terminals on there. And finally he shows up. What's up, Daniel, in the house?
He made it.
He's creeping for the quiz, brother.
Just in time to lose like he did last week.
Oh man, it's wrong. But anyway, so there actually was a bunch of podcasts out there. One of them was EC&M, and they were and it was funny because there was so much controversy. I don't know if you listen to my podcast, James, but I did a podcast on it, just showing all the different angles on how people were talking about it, and it was really funny because EC&M was like, well, I don't really see anything in the code that says that's a violation. So this comes from the same people that says the manufacturer instructions are overridden by the NEC, and if you go look in the manufacturer instructions, if you get that panel board, it'll say comply with UL 67, which is your which will have a listed assembly that's actually tested for that barrier. But man, it was so funny when I showed you that, where they just globbed up the duct seal on the line side terminals and said it was a barrier. And to me, I could see that complying with the code and everything, but I could also see it not being tested as a listed assembly.
You remember when they were telling me, because I was saying he's wrong or whatever it was, and they told me, they said, well, my code, he writes for EC&M. And I said, so what's that mean? I said, I was writing for EC&M. I said, it was my dad and I that actually, he called us to ask him to get him on. I said, what are you trying to say? Oh, that isn't true. I said, the hell it isn't. I said, go ask Mike. I said, he literally called and asked for us to help get him on there. I said, but if you actually go and look, the only reason that we quit writing for EC&M because there for about 3 years, Dad was actually the editor-in-chief, and I wrote the calculation articles for the magazine that NFPA was doing. And you know why NFPA quit doing it? Because electrical contractor and IAI and EC&M were all butthurt that they were doing their own thing and complained about it and all of this. So they just said, well, instead of arguing about it, they just quit. But they had a heck of a magazine when they were doing it.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing when it comes to, like they talk about all this different stuff with the stall cups and their influence. And like I say, I looked it up, and the oldest book I could find code-wise was from your dad as an author.
Oh, yeah. That.
And I could buy it. I could go buy that book. It's still in existence. And the thing was, it's like I told all the haters, just post up a book that's older from somebody else. And they couldn't do it.
Well, the only thing I dislike more than anything is, you don't have to like what we publish. I really don't care. I mean, but what I don't like is somebody that comes out and goes on these social media sites and they're just flat out there telling blatant lies and have no proof of anything and say, well, so-and-so did this and this. Well, yeah, but I know that isn't true. And here's how, and the thing is, I can actually give the timeline when everything happened, but I've sort of learned through all of this, there's a definite bias by some people. And the reason I definitely know that's true now is just like when
the 50-year debacle.
The 50 year that got pointed out. I don't remember who pointed out, but I remember we were on this podcast. Somebody asked me about it, and I said, no. I said that wouldn't. I said, hell, I was sitting there counting in my mind. I said, Dad hasn't even done it 50 years. How the hell could Mike used to go to his classes? So I started putting things together, and I said, if I think about this, Dad started about 78. And I was right, because I was thinking, because I was probably a freshman in high school at that time.
Right.
Because in the summers, a lot of people find this hard to believe. My dad was actually teaching over at the union school also. And I actually used to go over during spring and summer one day of the week, and I used to go over there and cut the yard, bag it, and everything. uh, and made extra money doing it. But uh, I was at that age, freshman high school. I'd do anything to make money. So uh, I
Right.
missed going and doing that. So that's how I got pretty close. And I said, I think that's when he did his first publication was 78. So at the very earliest, it would be 2028 before Dad hit 50 years. So I stayed around. I said, there's no way in hell Mike's close to 50 years. I said, matter of fact, I would be shocked if he's even close to 40 years. I said, he's probably more like 30 to 35. And
Well, they actually showed an actual thing where something from like the state of Utah said they've been using Mike Holt publications since 1978. And I think they were confused because I can't find no publications anywhere before 1985, 1988. Like I was surprised. I found one from your dad I could actually buy from 1984, from the 1984 code. And
well,
then, so that gave me a clue. So I started going in there looking in Link. And you guys, if you want to really check out stuff, it's really fun. You could go into NFPA Link, go to nfpa.org. We'll put the link in the chat too. You could go to nfpa.org. You could go back to the public inputs from previous cycles. And I went and looked up, and Mike Holt's first public input that I could find was in the 1984 NEC. So it was pretty crazy. And yeah, John, it cracked me up too, man. It's just crazy, man. Like, I don't understand what it didn't make sense to me, like why he was
why he would lie.
Yeah, it was weird. And then they got all mad at me, and they were like, "Oh man, Bill, we're not gonna be your friend anymore." I'm like, okay, like what I say wrong, And it was funny. Somebody went and posted something, and they said if he had a 50-year business, he would have started his business when he was a first-year apprentice. And the one guy said, he goes, I have window lickers that are third years, and if they start a business and try to overcome, if they start an electrical training business, I'd crack up or whatever, And so it was really funny. And yeah, dude, that's weird, man. I don't understand. To me, it's like an absurd lie. Like, I mean, if he said 40 years, I wouldn't have even challenged at all. I would have just been like, oh, 40 years, that's cool. But he said 50 years, and then he said Mike Holt Enterprises is 50 years old, and most companies don't last to be 50. That's where I had a problem with it. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, he made a big deal out of it's such a landmark achievement, and blah blah blah, and and how what did he say? Only like 3% or 5% of the companies make it 50 years. It's a landmark, and MikeCoat.com did this, blah blah blah, and he freaking lied about it all. That's just
and then we went and showed that he was like. It was something like Concepts in Electricity or something was his like original business, and that was the one I actually showed the public input from 1984, from the 1984 NEC that said Concepts in Electricity or something, and then I went and looked up Concepts in Electricity. It's not even, it's a business in Florida still, but it's like it's not his business. Like if it was still owned by him, then I'd give him a pass on that, but it just. To me, honestly, I don't care. It doesn't matter, but I don't understand why people are sitting there like, oh, all you guys do is go lie on social media. I'm like, all right. Well, for one, we're just trying to come out here, just be normal guys that just talk code and just hang out with you guys, talk hockey, talk, and,
I'll say this. And this is a fact.
Oh, I say what's up to John.
I've been instructing for, golly, I guess I probably started when I was about 25, I guess. So I'm over 35 years, going on 40 years of instruction. But as long as I've been doing it, and I've been an instructor for pretty close 30 years for NFPA, teaching all the different things that they had, and I've been to NASA. I've been to all the different Department of Energy and Defense, Department of Energy locations, ExxonMobil, DuPont, Kimberly Clark. I can sit here and just go on and on and on and on with this. And I can tell you, some of the smartest people out there that are on different committees and things like that deal with special things, especially in chemicals and things like that. And I have never, ever been talked to or said anything negative about our instructions, our publications, or anything until I got on social media and had to deal with them guys over at ECD and the things they started saying about the stalk ups. And after, here 40 years, we've been going to all the biggest places and teaching for NFPA. NFPA even used some of our publications to teach specialized courses because they didn't have the material there to teach it, and had us go out and teach it. And then for me to come on and disagree about something on GFCI and then have this group go out and attack me, it also made me think at that time, these must be the individuals that were putting out the false premises that the Stalkuts were no longer in the electrical industry and no longer publishing. And I wouldn't have known that except for I had probably, when I came on and I started posting a few things, people were coming on, and Bill will remember this, I probably had 20 people, 30 people reply to me, I thought y'all wasn't publishing anymore. And I said, where the hell did you hear that? They said, well, it was going around the groups and stuff. Well, now I sort of have an idea, and it wouldn't surprise me if somebody like Mike or Ryan or one of them put some phony thing out there so people would quit using our product because we didn't really do social media. Now I'm on social media, I just get attacked constantly, and so does Bill.
Yeah.
So,
and the thing is, like, I'm asking legitimate questions, and dude, John's right, dude. It's 100% peanut butter and jealous because, dude, I mean, all I'm doing is just asking legit questions. Like, dude, they went and did a whole follow-up episode on the IEI, the enforcement specialist. That's cool. Be the enforcement specialist, but guess what? What you guys have to realize is that when you're writing new language in the code and you're sending it out to the field and there's no technical merit for you guys to make those changes, they're not going to be enforced. You're not the enforcement specialist if you're writing garbage code language. And I proved that they didn't know what they were talking about because I said, can an individual branch circuit connect to more than one outlet? Because that's the premise of why they rejected my public input, was because they said it doesn't matter as long as it connects to one utilization equipment. I said, show me an example of where individual branch circuit connects to more than one outlet. And they have a multi-outlet assembly. And I say, okay, how many outlets does a multi-outlet assembly connect to when it's connected to an individual branch circuit? Connects to one. It always connects to one, minimum. That's right. It doesn't matter. You could have 77 outlets on there. It still only connects to one. And that's why my public input should have passed, but they were scared because it connects to utilization equipment. Does it receptacle connect to utilization equipment? And that's where the problem came in. And you could tell they had a problem when they wanted to say that's an outlet, but it's not because there's no utilization equipment.
It's funny you brought up and I'll give you an example why. Talk all that crap y'all want over there and make any mission statements you want. But if you're all about the electrical inspectors and everything, why on your podcast do you have somebody that works for the manufacturers doing your podcast? If you're really about the electrical inspectors, why isn't an electrical inspector doing it? You got somebody from a manufacturer. That goes back tying into what I say. Manufacturers, they're probably giving money over there and they're giving them a podcast and everything like they're part of the inspector association. It's all corporate bull crap's what it is.
Peanut butter and jealous. But we do like to do like the code changes and stuff, and I think 2026 is gonna be like really epic. This cycle, this is the first time me and King James have really went out like attacked him hard. We attacked him from different angles, and we got some really funny answers. Like I actually proposed that they delete branch circuit from 210.8D because everything connects to an outlet anyway. That was rejected. Every single angle that I took to make where everything's an outlet, everything connects to an outlet, there's no reason to do this extra language. They said that would be confusing, and so it's really funny how they're like, oh no, you can protect it at the branch circuit or the outlet, but they all ultimately protect at the outlet anyway, so it would be confusing if you deleted one of those terms. It's funny that you're saying, King James, they pick and choose,
Yeah. It's just like I had somebody from a higher up in one of the companies that deals with the code making process. We'll just put it that way. He called me and he said, you're out there saying this and that. He goes, you're going to make enemies from people. I said, now see, there's your problem right there. I said, what you're basically calling and trying to tell me is you can't control me, so you're going to threaten me. I said, let me ask you a question. I said, what is it that you actually provide to me that would have me worrying that it might upset somebody? He just there, he goes, well, I don't know what you mean. I said, exactly, you don't know what I mean. I said, what I'm trying to tell you is I'm standing up for what's right. I'm not bought and paid for it. I said, that's what I'm trying to tell you. And boy, and he got mad at me, and I said, you can get pissed off all you want. I said, but I'm going to tell what I believe. And I said, you or nobody else is going to tell me how I'm going to think.
Yeah, and the thing that's so funny, the amount of all these people, like these YouTube creators and all these people that have actually called your dad complaining is so hilarious. And yeah, dude, John, we just want the truth, man. I mean, come on, just be straight up,
It's
you want the truth. You can't handle the truth. I love it, John.
It's just like, and I'm going to give an example of this. And anybody that has followed this podcast since we started, the arguments that have gone on about an outlet or stuff, personally, you want an outlet there, I don't care. But the way the code's worded right now, it's not correct. Okay, period. I'm just, that's and you're not going to change my mind on it. And when this all happened, I'm just going to give a quick time lapse of this. Bill had podcast, Willie Jackerson. He wanted me to do something on GFCI protection. Okay. We were just talking general GFCI, different things. And then he said, well, what do you think about GFCI protection for an AC unit? I said, AC unit don't need GFCI protection. And he goes, well, they say, I said, I don't care what they say, there's no outlet there. I said, if it was cord and plug connected, yeah, I agree with that, but that's not the way it is. Well, that went on ECD, and then all hell broke loose. So all these guys that are over there, you have Mike, you got Ryan, you got Paul, you got Jeremy, you got Ted, Tim, I mean, just go on and on. There's so many of them.
Well, they didn't want to go against the narrative. Yeah. Because the narrative was already set.
They were talking so much crap. And this is when it got started that our publications sucked. Dad and I were a disgrace to the electrical industry. We're not real electrical instructors. We're a piece of crap. So everything they call me did. And I just asked them a question. I said, well, where's the outlet? They told me, you dumb bug, called me all kinds of stuff. They said it's on the load side of the disconnect. Now, Bill knows this 100%. Is that what happened? Yes or no?
100%.
Okay.
100%.
So I said,
No, Mike is still saying it's the load side terminals of the disconnect.
Oh,
because he doesn't
still
want to
does.
change his illustrations.
Well, that's because Mike, he doesn't know nothing. So I asked this question, and they said, and I said, okay. I said, if you go look at the definition of a disconnecting means, it says one or more devices. And then if I go look at the definition of device, you're basically telling me that the circuit breaker can be an outlet or a fuse.
Yeah.
And and Bill will tell you, it went quiet for like 3 hours. They didn't say nothing because at this point, what I'm saying, they can't argue. So then they come back, and right after that, they said, well, at least they know there's an outlet there, but the outlet's actually located at the terminations at the AC unit. I said, okay. I said, is that rated for a weatherproof location?
How about this one? A new one that I just came up with. Is that rated per 21021? Is that rated for the branch circuit?
No, it isn't.
Because I can guarantee the equipment manufacturer doesn't rate that as an outlet.
Hell no, he doesn't. I guarantee he doesn't. So I told them that, and they go, why the hell does that matter? I said, if I go outside and I put a box outside, I said, does that box have to be rated for a weatherproof location? Sure it does. Just like the conductors do. I said, and they said, well, it's listed and labeled. Therefore, the manufacturer's instructions override it. But yet you come back and tell me the manufacturer's instructions, the NEC overrides the manufacturer's instructions, except for in this case. And that goes back to what I was trying to tell everybody. This is where you take the code as a whole and quit picking and choosing where you want to apply something. Yes, the listing and labeling overrides it. And the reason it overrides it is because that's their equipment. That's all contained as what? A listed assembly. It's an assembly. It's not, there's not an individual outlet requiring it to be weatherproof. So,
I mean,
and I think Ryan realized that, and then they came up with the stupidest thing I've ever heard as far as a code substantiation ever been interpreted, in my opinion, is they said where the wiring method connects to the utilization equipment, that's where the outlet is. I said, so basically you're telling me the outlet's just free floating in freaking air.
Yeah,
it can just be anywhere. Like, unbelievable.
And you know whose public input that was? That was mine, and I wanted them to give me a location.
Yeah.
And they didn't give a location. So I could say over here, if I'm Mike Holt, the outlet is the disconnect. It's 10 foot away from the pull edge. We're good to go.
Well,
you could put the AC unit. You could make the AC unit a diving board for the swimming pool.
Let me give you an example. This is for you, co-making panel 2 members. You ever watch this? I'm saying it to you. Okay, y'all voted down my individual branch circuit and all this other stuff where I gave you locations. I gave you the opportunity to tell me where the location is. I listed everything off at all these people over at ECD, the great smart Mike, Ryan, Paul, all the rest of you that gave all these locations. I listed them. What did you do, co-making panel 2? You quoted some bullshit thing of some thing within NFPA document. You couldn't put that in an informational note. But you know what you did, co-making panel 2? Oh, yeah. Or it wasn't co-making panel 2. It was one of the other co-making panels, I think. They come in, and then they took the definition of appliance, and guess what they did? In informational note number 2, they actually gave types of things that were considered appliances, which they told me in an individual branch circuit, you can't give a location like that or a type of anything because that's not allowed by the guidelines of NFPA, some bullshit thing they had. In other words, what you were saying is, we're going to quote this, and so we don't have to pick a location because we know you got our balls in a vice right now, and we don't know what to do. That's basically That shows you what code making panel 2 did. Y'all don't like what I said? That's fine. I don't care. I mean, what does code making panel 2 do for me? I don't do nothing for me. And I don't care if this is anybody off. I'm saying what happened, honestly, and what they didn't give us substantiation. They quoted something crap off, and then they want to act like the rest of us, we don't know what we're talking about, but yet they won't tell us why they couldn't pick a location. That happened. When we say we want the truth, that is the hard code truth right there.
Dude, 100%, John. And like John says, like when you come to the truth, the reason, like, I don't understand why they rejected my public input to say exactly what they say the code says. So what they're saying is, when you come to these AC units, they're saying it's an individual branch circuit that connects to an outlet, and the utilization equipment connects to that outlet. And then you have to provide GFCI protection for that outlet. And I'm like, okay, give me the location of that outlet. That's why I submitted my public input. And the reason they said that my public input was rejected was because I was limiting an individual branch circuit to one outlet. Well, what else would you do? How can utilization equipment connect to more than one outlet? I just want to know. That's what I asked Tommy D when I posted up the thing, because I was like, I posted up the video. James hasn't seen it, but I posted up the video where I was on IEI Live, and I'm like, dude, what case would an individual branch circuit connect to more than one outlet? And he didn't know, but then he says, oh, well, a duplex receptacle can't connect to an individual branch circuit that's rated 15 amps. Wow, you just limited what an outlet rating is.
Well, when you submitted that first thing in the first draft, they come in and said, we can't do that because there can be more than one outlet. They literally stated that. I said, okay. When I saw it, I said, I'm going to comment on Bill's. So I just come in and I just instead of singular, I made it plural. Then they come in and they go, oh, you can't have more than one outlet. After they previously said there could be more than one. So this is why I want to say, you go back and you actually review what took place and tell me you're going to all of a sudden have this moral high authority that code-making panel 2 knows what they're doing. When they can't even make the decision, they tell you one thing, and then you come back and say, okay, well, let's put it here. And then they say the opposite of what they just said. I've got a problem with that. Yes, I do have a problem with that. I don't care if you're on a panel or whatever. At least be honest and give us a substantiation and explain your reasoning behind it instead of giving some bullcrap, statutory thing to get you out of it where you don't have to answer. And that's another thing I don't like what some of these code-making panels do too. And y'all go back, all these code-making panels, y'all get mad at me. I don't really care. I want anybody that watches this podcast, you go back and you check and see if I'm not right on this. You'll notice, to keep from having to answer, you've given a good explanation. You wrote all this stuff in your substantiation, why you want this, blah, blah, blah. And what will they do? They'll combine it. If there's others, they'll combine all these other proposals, and they'll never answer what you said. Go check it and see.
No, I was actually honored to talk with Jeff Sargent. Shout out to Jeff Sargent. He's an awesome dude. We emailed back and forth, and I told him, I was like, well, if you're gonna say this and this, then you're gonna have to make the statement that you don't need an equipment ground for anything as long as it's on GFCI protection. He's like, well, that's a really good nit, man. But you have to be there and present it and all that. And I was like, well, I ain't gonna be there. So, we've been arguing about this probably way too much. We should probably just go to the Willie Quiz to see if anybody pops in.
All right, let me get up. My throat's getting sore.
right, so I'm gonna get you ready for tonight. What's gonna be the sound? All right, so
this
that's
is all
if King
hockey.
James.
You've already told me it's hockey, so I won't do that good.
That's so King James gets them right, but we'll see. I don't know. We'll see if he gets them right or not. But if you guys get right answers, you'll get rewarded. You'll get coins. So you will eventually get to use the coins at some point. All right. Welcome to the Willie Quiz. Question number 1. Which NHL team holds the record for the longest consecutive playoff game win streak, and how many games did it span? Was it A, Montreal Canadiens, D, Habs at 11 games? Was it B, Chicago Blackhawks, 11 games? C, Pittsburgh Penguins at 14 games? D, Edmonton Oilers at 12 games? E, New York Islanders at 14 games? Good luck, everyone.
Right. Well,
So right away, Daniel's trying to throw you for a curveball. Going with C, Pittsburgh Penguins, 14 games. Uh-oh, look who's in here. Adam, what's up, Adam?
How's it going, boys?
Thanks.
I just
Thanks
saw
for
him
popping
pop
in.
up. I was like, I just saw him pop up. I said, I'll get him over here.
All right, Adam's in the house. Awesome.
I give him time to look at it.
What, you already know it?
Yeah, I think C is the answer. Penguins.
The Penguins, huh? I was looking at this when it first come up. I was thinking the Penguins or the Oilers, because I sort of remember the Oilers had a pretty good run at one time too. But I remember
maybe like 5 Stanley
wasn't
Cups or
it back
something like that?
in the late '90s, early 2000s? I remember there were a lot of people, and you were seeing it on TV. A lot of them, even in the shows and stuff, they were wearing a lot of Penguins jerseys. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
So
I do.
I think Adam's right. I'm gonna go with the Penguins.
Oh man, I can't believe it, King James, but everyone. Get the correct answer tonight. So
I'm happy. I got
question.
one right, so I can go home now.
All right. Well, you already are home, right?
Yeah.
All right. Question
I
number 2.
did argue that one.
Question number 2. As of the 2025 playoffs, which goaltender has participated in the most Stanley Cup postseasons? A, Martin Brodeur. B, Patrick Waugh. C, Marc-Andre Fleury. D, Grant Fuhr. Or E, Connor Hellebuck. Good luck, everyone. So just letting you know, this is updated for the 2025. Daniel's going with B, Patrick Waugh. Good freaking answer, Daniel. So Daniel's already got a leg up on you guys. I'm gonna actually give Daniel a good answer.
I think our good friend Daniel is right. It should be Patrick Raw.
Well, I mean, to be honest, I really have no idea, but that sounds good to me. I'll go with B.
All right. Well, we have to give you guys the. You're all wrong. It was C. Marc-Andre Fleury. He just did it the other night when he came in relief. He did his 18th postseason, beat out Martin Brodeur and Patrick Waugh. So he was a strange record to break, but and he lost too. So they still lost, but
I had no freaking idea.
All right. So question number 3: which team holds the record for the most goals scored in a single NHL playoff game? Was it A, Montreal Canadiens? Was it B, Edmonton Oilers? Was it C, Boston Bruins? Was it D, New York Islanders? Or was it E, Detroit Red Wings? Good luck, everyone.
Well, I was thinking about this,
and you're probably saying rigged. You were probably saying rigged, weren't you? That's probably what you were saying.
I just had this feeling it's between D and B.
Yeah, the Islanders were a pretty special group.
Because of the question number 1, it sort of got me thinking that. Oh, hell, I'll go B. Fuck it. I'll go B. I have no idea.
Edmonton Oilers.
You're going Edmonton Oilers too? Oh, wow. I can't believe y'all copied me.
Oh, you guys all got it! Edmonton Oilers.
I actually got that. Oh, I guessed 1,000%. I guessed at that.
Oh man. It's funny to try to kind of split your guys' answers up a little bit, you know.
That just goes to prove even a blind squirrel gets a nut every now and then.
There you go. That's what they always say about Nat King Code. All right, so question number 4: which team holds the record for the most goals scored in a single NHL playoff series? So is it A, the Pittsburgh Penguins? Is it B, the Edmonton Oilers? Is it C, the Chicago Blackhawks? D, the Calgary Flames? Or E, the Montreal Canadiens? Good luck, everyone.
Well, it's just, I guess you're just looking at one series. So I guess if they scored the most in one game, I mean, their chances go up, I would assume, for a whole series. So I'll go with Edmonton again. Probably wrong, but
all right,
makes sense to me.
I'm going to go with the Edmonton Oilers again.
Wow.
You're kidding. Oh, wow.
What? Oh, man. Looks like you guys are all copying Daniel's answer. And we will see. You all are right.
Let me get this right. I got 3 of 4 right tonight. I can't believe I've got 3 or 4 right.
Yeah.
Wow.
I told you it was easy. All right. So question number 5. As of the 2025 playoffs, which NHL team has the longest lasting playoff series win drought? So like they haven't won a series the longest. Is that A, Buffalo Sabres, B, Arizona Coyotes, which is now the Utah undefined team. C, San Jose Sharks. D, Columbus Blue Jackets. Or E, Vancouver Canucks. Good luck, everyone.
Now, I know y'all are going to believe that I actually know this one. And the reason I know this is because I was just the other day, Bill had said, well, it looks like, he said, congratulations. Basically, I didn't realize I'd been feeling good, but Dallas was up, what are we at, 3-2 in the series right now?
Yeah.
And against the Avalanche.
For like 20 more minutes.
So I went over to ESPN and I hit the NHL and it brings up news. And it was actually talking about the playoff series, and one of the things it had on there, and it talked about the drought, who hadn't been and so on. And I just happened to see it, and I saw the team's name there, and I know, if I remember right, I think I know which one this is. So I'm going to go with A, the Buffalo Sabres.
That's my answer too.
All right, so it looks like you're going to copy Daniel once again, and we have a...
So I got 4 or 5 right. I'm happy with that. It's hockey. I don't know shit about hockey, and I guessed it pretty much all of them but one and got them. Well, I'll take it back. I just copied the answer the first time. The other 2 I actually guessed right.
All right, so Adam takes the win with 5 correct.
He
awesome.
got 4 correct.
Did Daniel get?
Everybody got 4 correct.
All right, so we have to move to the tiebreaker. Which member of the Avalanche has the longest playoff streak?
Well, I'm gonna have to guess here. Let's see.
Has been the most consecutive playoffs in a row.
Well, I guess if I was gonna have to take a guess, now I don't know all y'all's players that well. So,
well, that's why it's a tiebreaker.
didn't y'all have? Let me think here for a second. Now, does that count up to this? Is this who's playing right now, or just had?
Yeah, who's playing right now? Oh,
Who's
Daniel goes
playing right
McKinnon.
now?
McKinnon.
See, I'm trying
Daniel
to
goes
think.
McKinnon. McKinnon could be the closest to whatever your answer is. It's not Makar for sure.
I'm gonna go with Peters Forsberg.
Well, no, it's a current player that's on the roster.
Oh,
playing.
current player. Oh,
See, that's where I was like, because I was sort of thinking y'all actually had he played there for a while. Didn't y'all have Lemieux or what, Lemieux, something like that? And then y'all had didn't y'all have Sakic too?
Yeah, but
See, those are names I sort of remember, and now you're hitting me up on ones that that I don't know a lot about, but I guess
Well, I guess
if I
you're just
had
gonna
to
let
guess,
Daniel win the tiebreaker, huh?
I'm going to
No,
go
I'm
with
just
Daniel.
kidding.
I'm going to go with McCannon because
I'm gonna
I
go
don't
with Daniel
really know
too.
those players.
All right. Well, I just want to let you guys know the answer is Charlie Coyle. He's been in 13 straight playoff series. He just got traded from the Boston Bruins, who didn't make the playoffs, so he wouldn't have continued his streak if he didn't come to Colorado. But he is the current streak leader with 13 straight NFL playoff or NHL playoff games, and looks like Daniel and Adam get the win against King James because he loses the tiebreaker. So Ty gets the win. All the guests get the win against King James. So
Hey,
thanks so much for playing. So awesome, and you all guys.
I'm not even the least upset. I got 4 or 5 hockey right, and y'all can call it wins where it's freaking time. Bullshit.
No, it's so much fun. I appreciate you joining. Here's for the pickle shot of the night for Adam. Thanks, Adam, for popping in.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Like I say,
Ooh.
so much fun doing this. Thanks so much for everyone joining. Like I say, we're gonna move on with our show. King James has to do like his segment, but I'll probably pop on.
I'm gonna skip topic this week. It's late, and plus my throat's killing me, dude.
All right. Are you streaming tonight, Adam?
Not tonight, probably tomorrow. I'll stream.
Okay. You guys pop
What?
into Team SOS tomorrow for
You're not
his
gonna
stream.
stream the Stars putting that butt whooping on Colorado tonight?
Not going down, brother. Rejected.
Go Stars. Go Stars.
Yeah, if Dallas
Go
wins
Stars.
tonight, that's winner chicken dinner.
But
Yeah.
you got to look, Adam, I feel sorry for you because you have to realize that your next series would be against Dallas.
That is
I'm
true.
already shit talking. Man, I'm telling you, I'm getting good at this.
There you go. See, like I say, Adam, just when you let your guard down, like he doesn't even he can even be sick and he's still gonna be like
Yeah, I'd be
doing
on my
this, man.
deathbed and I'll still be talking shit.
He's like one of those dogs that like lays out in the hot sun. You're just like, dude, come on in, man. You're like he just likes the sunburn. But
It's like, yeah.
it's all good.
I just
let
turn back,
them-
look at you like, I'll get your ass in a little bit. Don't worry.
Let them dogs lay out in that hot sun, and then we'll get them.
These freaking sinuses are kicking my rear end, boys. I'm telling you. God dang it.
All right. Well, we should be able to finish it out pretty quick, but we'll let you head out, Adam, or you could hang out.
Peace out,
whatever you
Adam.
wanna do. Thanks, sir.
No
All
worries.
right,
Have a
let's
good
go
night, boys.
to Tool of the Week. Let you go ahead and handle that, brother.
It's time for Tool Review of the Week. Sponsored by Electricians Only Tool Review and Nipex Tradesman.
All right, so appreciate this tool of the week. This is actually some bits that I really like. You can get these for right around the neighborhood of $100, which they're hardened steel, pretty good quality from what I've seen. This comes to a lot of different applications. Like you can hog that all the way out to 1 1/8. You hog it all the way out to 3/4, or you can just open up a small hole that we deal with a lot, like with just different kind of situations where you just need to open it up enough for like your anchor to get in there. But the nice part that I like about these is that they have, oh, John's out. All right, John. Yeah, have a good
Have a
one,
good
too,
night,
John,
brother.
man. Yeah, have a good night, sir. Go Avs. But the nice part about these is you can actually have like extensions that you put like on your impact, or you could put like on your drill, and you could actually extend them and get in some tight spaces and kind of open up that hole to get your conduit through there. So that's what I really like about these. They really work good. This is actually a product from Diablo, which is from, I think they're licensed through Milwaukee. But like I say, I always try to cover like Milwaukee, DeWalt, whatever. I would actually say this is probably one of Milwaukee's best tools out there. I really like this. You can get any size conduit in any size place if you use these. And like I say, I have actually used this product before, but like I say, it was just I haven't used all three of these. So, like I say, as far as what I've used, they worked great. They were really sharp. They did what they said they were gonna do, and that's worth the cost. Like I say, for $100, that's pretty decent. You're looking at probably 60 just for the center one alone. So with the impact quarter-inch setup on it, I really enjoy it, and I think it's a good way to go with tool wise. So
For $60 just for the middle one, that's got to be one hell of a bit for $60.
yeah, they're all hardened steel, but
Yeah,
like I say, the whole set's up. Like I think it was like a little over 100, like 110 or something. But
that's not bad.
like I say, the one on the right is actually a really valuable one. Like I almost carry one of those exclusively, just to kind of open holes up just enough to get
Yeah,
your anchor in and stuff. So
that's cool.
yeah, like I say, it's a good setup. That's gonna be showing up in my tool bag really quick because I need one. Like anytime I do the tools, like dude, my wife is just up there freaking out. She's like, "You really ain't gonna go buy those, are you?" I was like, "Hell yeah," But
Hell
you
yeah.
know, like like I just always I'm itching to get more tools in my tool bag, so that's
Yeah,
where I'm at. But she's like, "Are you gonna buy those?" I'm like, "Yeah, tomorrow."
yeah.
No, you aren't. I'm like, all right.
Watch me do it.
Yeah. You haven't seen my tool bag. You can't carry my tool bag.
Let's get ready for man versus machine.
All right, that's a good
Let's
one.
see what we got here. I hadn't even.
For years, man tried to create artificial intelligence. On this segment, we find out, is AI smarter than King James?
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure 100% AIs can get this one right. This is so easy. This is just easy. But I wanted to put this out there because a lot of people, they just either think it has to be installed everywhere or nowhere or whatever.
Well, I gotta type this one in. So, 50 volt.
I don't know why you don't just copy and paste it.
Well, because I had to go sign on to the thing tonight as a guest because,
Oh,
yeah,
okay, I got you.
I was having all kinds of problems.
Like I could actually send it to you as a PDF. That way you could just copy and paste it from the
Yeah,
PDF.
usually I can fix things pretty quick, but the way it is tonight, I was I don't honestly I don't even know what was going on.
Yeah, I mean it should get it. It like it got it right when I did it, but it's not a hard one, but typically this is one where people are like, nope, it's never needed, or yeah, it's
Well,
needed.
I'm not going to give it options this time. I'm just going to set it up.
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay, let me read what it says here. That'd be C. I think that's like 406.11 or something.
I believe that's correct.
So I went with C. So let me go over here to share the screen. Let's go here. There we go. I've already clicked it here. So let's see what it came up with. Basically the same thing. It said in dwelling units. So if I'd have gave it all the options, it's got 406.12. Give him a win. We'll give ChatGPT a win. Whoever's correct.
All right. Yeah, we'll give it the win. Like I said, it's already behind by like 7 questions or something, so it shouldn't be too hard.
That's got a long way to go to catch up.
Yeah, it's all good. And it got dissed on the illustrations tonight too, so.
It definitely got dissed on the illustrations. There's no doubt about that one.
I knew you would love that. I knew you'd love seeing it. You could go back and watch a replay, and then I'll be like, hey, I showed you something to compare to. So.
That was nothing but a good old-fashioned beatdown, all that was.
I agree. All right.
All right, let's wall shake.
Wall shame.
Finish her up.
Shame. 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 Shame.
So it was funny because the guy I took this from on Wall of Shame, he's like, why do you want to do these on your show? I was like, because I want to see King James's reaction to this one. I was like, oh, man.
Well,
didn't even put a kick on it.
At least you can say they tried 3 different type of line methods going in there and different ways to get it in there. That's just, oh God.
I was like, what?
And what
then
is
you
the
got like
opening there on the other side? What is, you got the box there, but you also got an opening that's been cut there also. What the hell is that about?
Like a big old access.
Well, that's something about an access, because if you look, they've actually took here and they just kicked up a piece of wood mounted just so they could put that box there, but yet they've got an access or whatever opening there where they couldn't even get to it anyway. That makes no freaking sense.
Yeah. Like, the thing that's so stupid is you could have did like an offset and a connector and totally missed that freaking opening.
There's a lot of things you could have done there a lot different. I mean, I'm assuming this is in residential.
Well, it could be
tell.
type 4 construction, but I don't know. I mean, big shout out. I didn't put who posted it on the Wall of Shame, but I couldn't even find it. I tried to look. Maybe his boss got mad at him. Like, sometimes, dude, I'm not even kidding you. There's stuff I post like, hey, this is a remodel, da-da-da, and my boss is like, you can't post that. I'm like, why not? And he's like, oh, they'll find out who you work for and we're a bunch of idiots. I'm like, I don't see how that can happen, but okay, like.
Shoot,
like
if I was a contractor, I'd take full advantage of that. I'd say, hey, we were out working on this. We found this right here, and we fixed it.
Yeah, 100%. Before
and if I knew who the electrical contractor was that did it, I'd put them out there, let them know who did it.
Well, there's a lot of people that say it's a code violation to run NM cable into a metallic box, you know? Like, and so that's where we get into like the myths and all this different stuff with the wall of shame. It gets evolved, you know, when it comes to that. But I just really appreciate you, King James, and you know, it really means a lot. Like, we can just hang out and have a few laughs, you know, like talk about electrical installations, stuff like that, you know. I give you a few, you know.
All I know is by this weekend I'll be feeling a lot better. I'm on the downhill right now, but I'll tell you, boy, Tuesday and Wednesday, man, I was shit. Man, I was in that bed. All I was trying to do was keep my body up because I was draining to keep from coughing. And for 2 days, right now, I'm going through where it's right at the chest to the stomach. I'm at the final part, but the part about it is I've coughed so much, you know how your chest and your middle body hurts, you know, because you've coughed so much. That's where I'm at now. So hopefully, really by Saturday, Sunday, I should be feeling freaking awesome.
All right. Well, I want to give you a preview of the Avs Stars.
So you're basically saying the Stars have already scored?
It hasn't started yet, but it's gonna be what you guys are gonna be hearing all night.
We will see.
Yeah.
What do they play? They start here like 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, it's not too long.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like I think it's 7:50 or something. But thanks everyone for joining. Appreciate it. Thanks so much, everyone. We give you like 5 coins. Should we give them 5 coins? I don't know. We give everyone coins every time, but it means a lot. Thanks so much for popping in and you know subscribing to the channel. Like I said, we're gonna hit 400 real quick, and it's pretty awesome. So much fun to do these. So we only need what is it? 996,000 to get our YouTube thing. So like we're almost there. We're really close. You know. So.
Well, you know what? I'm supposed to get with them hopefully next week. We may have a sponsor or two. I mean, you know, it's becoming popular, you know, and blah, blah, blah. You know, people like coming hanging out, you know, we do cover the NEC and OSHA and all the other NFPA standards. And, we're just going to keep doing it. You know, we're in our 3rd year and before you know it, we'll be at 5 and we'll be at 10 years. We're just going to keep doing the same thing we're doing.
Yeah.
So
it's a lot of fun, and thanks so much, King James, for being a good sport. Constantly getting smoked at the Willie Quiz from the guests, but the reason that we're here is because of the guests. So thanks so much, you guys, for popping in and joining the Willie Quiz. Adam and Daniel get the win, and shut up King James for 1 more week. So we will see. He can pick the topic next week, so it might actually get pretty interesting because he might take him to school next week, and we will see. I might not even tell him what the topic is next week. I didn't tell him what the topic was this week, but it was pretty good. So appreciate you guys popping in here. I had a lot of fun. Go Avalanche. Crush the Stars.
Yeah, they're about to get it on. I can say that.
Yeah. So thanks everyone for joining. And as always, remember, make every day an easy day.
Yep. Sounds good. And everybody have a good week. And we will see y'all next Thursday. Peace.